to me, a live performance is like being run over by a bulldozer or something. It's just pure action all the time. Yeah. That's what we're going to show tonight. It's like 30 minutes of power.
Today we are ranking the albums of Edge of Sanity, starting with Nothing But Death Remains in 1991. The debut of this legendary Swedish band led by famed metal producer and man of many bands and projects of his own, Dan Swanö. And yes, that is the proper pronunciation from his own mouth.
Hello, my name is Dan Swanö.
And with original Marduk vocalist Andreas Axelsson playing guitar. I wouldn't say it's their finest work, and in fact this is the second lowest fan-rated album on both Metal Storm and Rate Your Music, and sports a 73% on Metal Archives. But I don't know, I really enjoy this one, and I like it more every time I listen to it. Good start with Tales. The Dead is a straight banger. I dig the D-beats and pace changes on Human Aberration and Maze of Existence, getting some death and autopsy vibes on those. And I love the synth atmosphere and little doses of progressive elements already. Some of this on Decepted by the Cross as well. So yeah, it's already a very solid album, but it's kind of doing what a lot of other people were doing around this time and feels like they hadn't quite found their own sound yet. They have better records for sure. The new 2024 remix is definitely worth checking out too, by the way, but I'm going to put this one at great tier. Followed that up with Unorthodox in 1992. Now, if my biggest complaint of the debut was that it just wasn't really doing anything to stand out, with this very effectively titled follow-up, I think they've fixed that problem. Right from the top, Enigma takes some pretty drastic twists and turns from your more standard OSDM tropes, and just big swings with organ and clean singing. Big atmosphere I'd compare to the likes of everything from early Amon Amarth to Septic Flesh. It's also a much longer album, jumping to nearly 50 minutes, and is maybe a little overlong as a result. And it's kind of unfortunate because while I praise its more unique sound and willingness to take risks, I think that this also ends up making it a much less concise and consistent listen. And also, it's just a little bit too doomy for my personal taste, which is why my ranking may be a bit lower than others out there. I do particularly enjoy Beyond the Unknown, Cold Sun, and The Day of Maturity. Putting this one at good tier. As always, this is just my own opinion, so please share your own thoughts and rankings down in the comments for respectful discussion. There's room for disagreement here, as Dan Swanö himself has called this his favorite, even apparently using the word perfect in reference to it. But next up is The Spectral Sorrows in 1993. Album number 3, now more fully transitioning into a progressive and melodic death metal sound. There are still plenty of old school elements, but they meld together for some spectacular moments, like with those skanky beats on Dark Day and Live in Hell. And the riffing on The Mask feels like a precursor to some of my favorite albums from Dismember, Soilwork, and even The Haunted. I also enjoy On the Other Side. On the flip side, no pun intended, there's still some slower parts that I'm just not that into, and I'm not in love with the Man-O-War cover for Blood of My Enemies or the goth rock turn of Sacrifice either. I see that this one seems to be a fan favorite in some circles, but there are just too many things here that I don't personally find appealing as much as an album as a whole. That's a lot of as. But yeah, anyways, this one is also going to good tier for me. Next up is the Until Eternity Ends EP in 1994. Now again, I don't normally include EPs, but I'll make an exception for a shorter discography like this one. Frankly though, I would personally say you could just skip over it, as it is pretty far removed from everything else here, as if the Police cover wasn't a dead giveaway, although there are some elements that will carry over. Lots of Yarly vocals and rock and roll sentiments, hearing some of the unfortunate trends here that very much infected a few death metal bands and most thrash metal bands in the 90s. Eternal Eclipse is okay. In any case, it's clear that the band knew that a lot of this felt like too much of a risk, as the liner notes even basically lay out that, hey, you know, these are just 4 extra songs that didn't really fit the album, but we're putting them out. But hey, specifically, this is not a taster of the next album, because they say that's going to take off where Unorthodox did. Yeah, I'm going to put this one at bad. I did not enjoy it at all. But that does bring us to Purgatory Afterglow, also in 1994. Now this, on the other hand, is an incredible album, with the band only further coming into their own, and worth noting too that this marks 4 albums in just 4 years. Keeping busy for sure, and without a real dud at this point, save for that aforementioned EP. This one brings back the focus of the debut, while at the same time toying with a lot of different styles. One minute it's a clear influence on Amon Amarth, the next it's those epic clean vocals on Blood Colored, then it goes into more death metal Motorhead territory, and then it's basically the Jester Race before the Jester Race on Black Tears. Of Darksome Origin, Elegy, Enter Chaos, and Silent all rip, and the duo soloing on the latter is just so much fun. I see some hate for this one with its more melodic turn, but I think that it's a banger of a record. It easily made my top of 1994 death metal albums list. The clean vocals are a bit hit and miss though, so I'm not going to put it quite at the top. I have put it at perfection in the past, but I made a little switcheroo this time. I'm going to put this one at fantastic. Next up is Crimson in 1996. Keeping the atmosphere and riffs going into album number 5 and their first concept record, technically consisting of just one 40-minute track, though it is thankfully broken up into 8 parts for easier listening. And it definitely feels like they added quite a bit of Opeth, with Mike Ackerfeld actually providing additional vocals and guitars here. Great recurring guitar hooks throughout. I love the ominous violin on part 2, and part 6 might be my favorite overall. Just a very strong and consistently engaging album. It's kind of a big switch in sound, which I wasn't sure about at first, but there's a reason why it's the top rated album on Rate Your Music, I would say. Overall, very strong, and this is the one that got bumped up to perfection. Next up is Infernal in 1997. Album 6 and one of 2 from this same year. Opening on a promising note with the very In Flames meets Opeth sounding Hell Is Where the Heart Is, and more old school skankbeat driven banger Helter Skelter. And there are also more very solid tracks like Damned by the Damned, Forever Together Forever, and Inferno. Unfortunately, there's also some cornier stuff calling back to the EP with the clean vocals of 1536 and Losing Myself in particular. And probably related to that, I see some very low ratings around for this one, but in spite of its clear issues, I don't think it warrants any like dumpster level scores, and frankly, and this may be a hot take, but I still enjoy it better as a whole than Unorthodox or the Spectral Sorrows. So let me know what you think about that in the comments as well, but I'm going to put this one at great tier, not quite up there with the debut, like just behind it. Swanö also temporarily left the band after this album due to creative differences with Andreas, which brings us to Cryptic, also in 1997. Now for this one, Andreas hired vocalist Robert Carlson of Swanö's other project, Pandemonium, in Dan's absence, and he does well here even if the songwriting isn't as good. Also, a pretty significant drop in production quality, but still starting out strong enough with the track Hell Written, which is easily my favorite, with that super heavy first half moving into the more progressive direction for the second. From there, though, the quality is a bit mixed. There are still plenty of good parts, but the songs just don't really come together as well aside from the pretty fun Not of This World. Again, though, it's not nearly as bad as some of the ratings out there will lead you to believe, as this is the lowest fan-rated Edge of Sanity album across the board, but admittedly, it does take several steps down. Overall, I'm going to put it at okay. Before we get to the final album, just a reminder to hit that like button if you're enjoying the video, and again, comment below your own thoughts. There is room for discussion here. Just be respectful, okay? That's all I ask. Or don't. It's all engagement, as I always say. But that brings us to Crimson 2 in 2003. The final album, though this brief revival was actually just Don Swanö returning with the help of session musicians, and I suppose it only seems fair since they went on without him for the previous record. Regardless, it seems clear that the time away made Don have a lot to say, as right from the top with the Forbidden Words, he is bringing his A-game. Insanely catchy opener, and really the entire runtime is extremely engaging and rewarding, showcasing a wide variety of styles, again from Opeth to In Flames to even like Dream Theater at times. Incredible synths all over the place, probably the best of any of their albums, often stealing the show here, but also still amazing riffing and jaw-dropping solos, and all captured by some truly pristine production. Also a good mix of harsh and clean vocals with some of the better performances on either side, and for all those reasons, I think that this one is one of the best of their discography, which feels a little bad to say since it's like basically like Don's solo record in a way, but it is what it is, man. It's really good, and for those reasons, it is also going to perfection. Y'all check out this playlist for more death metal rankings, or this for your personal YouTube recommendation. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.